It's like so that's the smartphone. What's the smartphone? What is the phone? Just because it has the round corners and the button, and we know the context. So this is part of the visual language. Or another example is so which coffee brand is that?
Starbucks.
And it's also like you don't see a logo, you don't see any kind of like classic branding things, but it's you already know what it is. It's like it's part of visual language. The way how elements are placed.
What do you think about other companies going with the flat logos like Google, Instagram?
Yeah, it's actually counterproductive. Like it's following the trend of flat logos and the latest Instagram logo, but they start to look much more alike, which it's harder to differentiate.
Wasn't it better like they kind of simplify it? If you look at the right thing, I think like this trend of being everything to be simple because there's too much, so we need to simple it down.
But they all look the same, like it's all the flat design. And
Yeah, I think this simplification became more like a trend because people really want simple things. But I think it's a counterproductive in the long game. I'm sure, like every trend, it will become again like all the logos will become much more detailed soon. So I think they had like it was a tough decision for them, and they probably spent a lot of time thinking if they should go how like minimalistic they should go with their logo, what they would keep in this logo that it will be still recognizable. Same like with the phone, I'm sure they had like sleepless nights about placing Apple logo somewhere here or no, or because let's say if you think about Samsung, you have Samsung written in front, and this is all like this little decisions around visual language, and also the part of corporate identity could be like uniforms or car livery. Think about delivery companies like UPC or FedEx or cafes, networks, and then the sounds. Think about Nokia ringtones. Like you could recognize when the Facebook message comes in, when the WhatsApp message comes in. But you could, like you're riding in a public transport, you can hear who has an iPhone, who has the Sony.
you hear the sound and everyone reaches the point.
Yeah, because they think it's theirs. Yeah. So it's like it's also part of the identity, corporate identity. And tone of voice, which is not really a sound, but more like, is the brand talking to you in an informal way or formal way? Are they like trying to be friendly or trying to be more like polite and careful? So I think it's also part of the corporate identity, and you could find it in guidelines of some companies. And I think I'm kind of referring to, do I need a logo? Do I need a logo to create a corporate identity? Not always. For example, if you open a shop, you probably need a good signage and you probably need a cool website. But it's, I guess, all for a beginning. You don't really need a logo or a cafe. You don't really need a logo for a cafe. It's a signature or signage. It's interior design, it's cool menus, I don't know, cool website, people can find you. They don't care about the logo. Nobody, like you would be surprised how many people don't actually remember logos. I mean, I'm not talking about, say, Coca-Cola logo, which was there for 100 years, but I'm just about the new logos. Like people don't care so much about new logos unless they really like are focused about I guess if they maybe are interested in design, they would be like, oh, this is a cool logo, this is not a cool logo. But people usually don't register them so much. So it's much more about the general feel. It's like think T-Mobile, which kind of color it is. It's the purple color. They use a lot of purple color, or like Vodafone, it's red and red drop, or the O2, right? You see the bubbles underwater. This is O2. You don't really have to see the logo. They don't even have a logo. They have just O2 written. Like, okay, it's a logo technically, but it's.
Well, you might speak for a minute about the integration of a logo into the functionality of a product, though, especially if you're thinking about tech. As you created the iris logo, the icon separate than the word, we found almost immediately how important it was and applicable in terms of using a smart device running iris, and a laptop using iris, the website using iris, and how the logo design actually needed to consider how it would be used in the product.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so that's an important part about thinking about the usage of your corporate identity. And then, if you're making an app, then you absolutely must think that the logo should work as an icon, and and you have to have a logo, or maybe it's actually just an icon of product. That's are you using Slack here for communication, right? It's funny that their icon of their application hashtag is not actually the logo, because the logo is actually it's a hashtag with the Slack written nearby it, and they actually have also different icon for Macs. They have just it actually doesn't look like hashtag. It's just letter S and like a patterned checkered background. So in this case, for them it might be more important in the beginning to have an icon which is recognizable than the logo for the company, because maybe they don't need yet to be known as a company, more just as a product. And just generally on creative process, it's not so hard to do. It just there is methodology to do it. it's not everybody's talented, but everybody can be creative. And there is this funny graph I did trying to explain the creative process. Also, I will share on Slack a really cool link from John Cleese from Monty Python talking about his research on creative process. That's really cool. Basically, it's about creative process consists of two parts, and one of them is open mode and another one is closed mode. And when you start, you have to really differentiate between the two modes. Like, you have to think in open mode and try to come up with as many ideas as possible, and don't filter them. Just brainstorm. Just think whatever. Like, be crazy. Come up with ideas and don't think about the consequences. And don't think if they will work or not. So that's the open mode, and you have to time limit it. So for example, I'm spending 1 hour. We're gonna try it with a workshop. I'm spending 1 hour on trying to come up with ideas, and I don't care if they will work or not. Just come up with ideas. The important thing, you have to really switch off all of the possible distractions and really focus on it. So then that's the idea of like divergent phase. You just open and just coming up with more and more ideas. And then at some point, after some deadline, you just stop and you try to take all of your ideas and try to evaluate them. And it's convergent phase, where you really try to go through all of your, like, I don't know how many ideas you came, and really try to filter them. And at this point, try to be very critical and also maybe share these ideas with friends or people who are interested, to ask them for feedback. And really try to filter down. Really try to test all of your ideas if they work or not. And you probably will end up with few from this big number. You will end up just with few, maybe with one. But then the key is to open up again and really try to use the feedback which you had here to come up with more ideas, which is they will be more relevant to your task. But you have to be still open and try just to brainstorm. and then again you will converge and filter them. And it's, this process can continue as long as you need to come up with a good idea. But it's important that you really switch, that you really have the clear differentiation between the phases. In the open mode, you're trying just to be creative and don't be judgmental. And the closed mode, you're not being creative. You're just really evaluating all of your ideas and testing them. And then again, you gotta set deadlines for these things, because it's really, I don't know. I could be creating ideas forever, and I would not want to get to the execution phase. I would be like a year coming up with the perfect idea, and then nobody would need it. So you have to set deadlines. And deadlines are actually, they are magical things, because they can really push you, somehow subconsciously push you to the solution faster. You gotta create briefs. You gotta create brief for yourself, or if you choose to work with a designer, you have to create a creative brief which would describe all of your things which you do here, like who's your customer, what's your positioning, how it works, what's the background, what's your competition there. I think it's cool to use templates, like because I think there is a big question: is it okay to make your website build on templates? I think it's cool because usually for websites, let's say, you will be solving typical problems like creating an e-shop, or I don't know, if you just want a company like a small website to present your brand, it could be just one page site, or I don't know, there are really typical websites, and I think there was so many people already spent so much time coming up with the best e-shop that there is a great template you could use. So it's totally cool to use templates because it's already something established. It's not cool to try to come up with super original e-shop where people don't know how to use it. But another thing is about crowdsourcing creativity, which I was mentioning before. Like it's really hard to find a template for coming up for your positioning, let's say, like or your specific your specific Zach in the company. You know, what's your special thing about your brand? You're not going to find a template for that, and that's why I think when you go and try to crowdsource, let's say, like designing a logo or something, it's really cheap. Yes, it's really fast, but you're not going to get any quality idea out of it.
But I mean, like, there is the trend, like having the flat logo, like Iris also has at the final stage. Also, for example, your slides. I'm not saying that there is something wrong with them, but like I can see this design everywhere right now. It's like very simple. You have the Helvetica. Yeah, I mean, like you are not using any. You're just following the trend. You're not. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, so it's like I would say this is a template, you know. So let's say this one would be a presentation, which is a typical task to make a slide, and I'm using, let's say, a trendy template to present it. But I wouldn't be able to find the template of the content of the slides.
Yeah. I mean, like the content is yours, obviously.
Same with this for the logos. You know, you could make a flat logo, no problem, really easily. But you wouldn't get the right idea for it, because you have to have an idea behind the logo. Well, behind the good logo. And don't be ashamed to steal great ideas. It's really, the worst thing is trying to copy. The best thing is to steal. If you see some great idea, just take it. There's so many, like, it's so hard to come up with a new, reinvent the bicycle, right? You just take the idea and do it your own, adapt it. Think of usage of your identity. Example with Iris was really cool. because really soon we realized that we need an icon for an app, for example, on the phone or a tablet. So it was clear that we need to create a symbol or a logo which consists of the symbol and the word mark. That we could use the symbol as an icon. Or in case you would be doing, I don't know, let's say if you would be doing cars, producing cars, you would know that you would want your brand logo on on the hood of the car. So you need to know which materials you'll be using for it. That it can't be just, I don't know, transparent. You have to think of that it has to be physical. Or opening a shop, you need to think how your signage will look like. Or what are other signages nearby? What are other shops nearby? Or is it a light street or a dark street? Or how narrow is the street? If people will see it easily, do they need does it have to be lit up? Or so it's all about really thinking around the context of how you're going to be using it. And also really cool advice from everyone, and it's super hard to follow, is that you should really try to fail early, because this way you can really test your ideas early. It's much better to fail early in testing than fail really late, when it's really late to change things. So I guess it's just about trying to come up with ideas and prototype them really quickly. Let's say you have a little naming brainstorm, and you came up with 10 names, and you really like 2 of them. So really try to ask people around if these names are cool. Try to see if the domain names are available. Try to see how it may look like as a logo. Really soon, just really fast tests. But this test will help you to show if it works or no. And if it doesn't work, then it's great. Because you would know that you have to repeat, and you did it early, and you didn't come up with it. You didn't, you could, in the worst scenario, you could come up with a really great name and make whole corporate identity around it, and launch advertisement, make website, logos, everything. Looks really great, and then find out that you will be selling this product in let's say your name is English, and you're going to be selling it in Poland, and then in Poland this word means something horrible, and you would need to spend to create another completely different brand just for Poland, just for Polish market, because you already spent too much money for your original brand. So it's good to think of usage and test it, and test this word if you know that you would be in Poland. Test this word in Poland. What does it mean there? Whole thing is to make notes, and it could be I prefer to use offline tools like pen and paper and notepads, especially when I'm in the meeting or something like this, because on the computer sometimes you could be too distracted, sometimes there's a message coming, sometimes something doesn't load up. Paper works all the time, the battery doesn't go off. This is great, but really I think it's about creating your own tool set with which you're really comfortable, and it could be any combination of digital and non-digital tools. And for example, I'm using Basecamp as something similar to what you use here in the class Slack for. It's for communication and maybe storing information, and kind of more collaborative tool, and just to present ideas and get feedback on them. And also I'm using the application called Things, which is just really a to-do list, and it's the getting things done tool. And you could be using anything which, I'm making all the notes, all the digital notes on Evernote, but everybody can use anything like Paper Docs, or there's a new solution from Dropbox called Paper. So anything which works for you, but I think it's good to create your tool set and use it all the time and be consistent in it. Because you might want to come back to your ideas which you had a month ago, a year ago, or a couple of years ago. You might want to, you might find out that you're solving a really similar problem which you solved already before. Or you might think, okay, I heard somebody told me something about some cool book, and I was sure I would remember it, but you can't find the note. So I think it's just good to have your sort of system of note taking in place, whatever it is.
So next week, you guys, we're going to actually talk about operations and tools. What are things that new businesses should use at least to get your idea going, and then for the same reason, where you're following consistently utilization of the same tools, just like we're doing in Slack. And then I'm forcing you guys to evolve with me in Slack. Remember, I changed the names of some of the channels, and you're like, oh, it's like being on a moving train, and you're going to jump off and jump back on, and it's a little confusing. You're like, hey, why didn't you figure out how to use that when we started? Well, shit, I didn't know. But the idea that at least we're all using the same tool set and moving in this direction is an underlying critical success factor for businesses to get up and get going efficiently and effectively. And I think what you're going to hear, and I'm glad you touched on this, Dima, you're going to hear from each one of the people that present. They're going to talk about, and I've asked them to talk about what are the core tools that they use to do whatever they do. And sometimes like when we started working with Dima, we had to use Basecamp. I knew of Basecamp. Anyone used Basecamp before? Other than Dima? Nobody? So Basecamp is a kind of a project management, collaboration, cloud-based, internet-based tool, kind of like Slack, but it's got different bells and whistles that do different things, more in the project management process, workflow process, methodology. But this idea of having tools and using those tools, whether you're their business partners that you're working with or their internal employees, you just have to be able to flex and make sure that you get access to that stuff. The other thing we'll talk about later when we get together is, even though Dima uses this Basecamp, we're not using Basecamp formally within Keystone, so I have to make sure that I extract all the critical content from his system and put it in my system, where I maintain version control and I've got history so that I don't call him up. Maybe he gets hit by a tram next week and he's not around anymore. I don't want to harass his mom and dad about his Basecamp sign-in ID to get my content. I just want to make sure that I've got custody of my own stuff. Right. We'll talk about that next week some more.
I think whatever works for anyone, right? There are a bunch of tools which share the same functionality, but I guess it's about just trying to stick with one tool and use it consistently, because you want this archive to be there so you could find this whole version which you had before. So then we can have some fun now.
Can we take a little break?
Yes.
How long can you afford? How long could you afford them to take a break? 10 minutes?
Yeah, cool.
Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Come back in 10 and we'll do the naming workshop.
Are we still meeting at 6?
Oh, I forgot, but yes.
Yes, you are still meeting at 6, right?
Yes, and I forgot, yeah.
Hey, you have another teacher.
Yeah, you can't get it off. Yeah. Don't we all?
Jeff, do you think it's like I should open the windows wide open?
Sure, go for it.
Because I feel like it's super hot. He doesn't mind if
Let me get that. I can get that one. Thanks. This first for me.
Just for you?
Yeah. You go all the way. You want me to go all the way?
No, I think just a little bit.
Tell me when.
Maybe just so the whiteboard is here. I think it will fit.
Let me go out and get some air.
I don't know.
Yeah, actually.
So we can.
What I find is that if you're specific about it, push it, so it goes fast.
Did you study
Because then they just have to think about it. And if you give them a bunch of time, then it's just kind of lost time.
I was thinking to.
But I think if you would,
You know, if you could take somebody's example, somebody's,
you could do that.
and just show how it's done.
Yeah, but I would just ask them to go back to their lean canvas. Then they have either a problem, they have a customer over here. Do you know the canvas? Slightly? Okay, so the canvas is basically just to take all the critical elements of a business idea and then make sure that you capture them and consider them at the beginning, and this is a living document, and then you keep developing it. So you have
Right.
kind of a primary customer list, and then you have a secondary, but you specifically say this is the customer, and then you say this is the problem that you're solving, and then with the solution, this is exactly what the problem is. So first the customer, this is exactly what the problem is, this is exactly what the solution is, and then there's a USP, a unique selling proposition. So what is, you said everything today, you just used your own words, but I would just like to make sure that proposition, and then they have something else that's called the unfair advantage. And this is kind of like some secret sauce.
Right.
Like maybe it's a IP, or maybe it's some skill on the team. And there's some other things here, like you have a key metrics, and then you have key resources. Down here we have costs and revenue.
For example, from this, you know what are you doing, right? What kind of product you're doing?
Yeah, the whole purpose here is to say, what the hell are you talking about? It forces them, boom, right at the very beginning, to sit down and think about all of these critical elements. So, and this is where, on this particular topic, they're forced to saying, who's the customer? They're forced to saying, maybe not in their branding explicitly, but implicitly, what is the problem and what is the solution? And what is unique?
Right.
You know? Because as you know, all of that informs what your brand strategy is.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So you said earlier, you called it a brief. This would be a perfect brief.
Yeah, exactly. That contains everything. So I have like here, look, I was just wanted to show what you first need to think about when you name things. That's the same. It's like how many names you need. Basically, is it house of brands or branded house? Or who's your competition? The positioning.
Right.
Positioning is kind of here. USP.
It's here and here. It's what's special about me and what are all the other things, competition or other solutions.
Maybe you could help me to map it to the, I could
Sure.
explain to you if you could help me to map it so everybody knows where to look
Okay.
for that. this one is carbon.
Yeah, just try to skip things that are like advanced.
I just wanted to say that, you know, this is a cool, it's just to keep in mind. I didn't want to get to mention it, you know,
Well, just for the sake of time, I would just, I mean, you might want to just
Yeah.
skip past some things. Now, do you need this to be showing as you're going through it? Do you actually, at the end, can you use it to go through it and then write it on the board, these things, and then we can skip over to the model? Is that possible?
So how do I do it? Maybe I can write it down now, or I can write it.
Yeah, right on the wall? Okay, go for it.
So I would say, I mean, doing it right?
Recommendations.
Sure.
Very strong. Chair, conceptual recommendations. Not committed. Sure. Scope government is autonomous. Organize the part of the
Come on.
I might go get coffee.
Can I jump out of this?
Yeah.
I forgot my break slide.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't have any thought during the break.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good, man.
You need to go back?
Máš úkol na finštinu?
Vůbec jsem ještě nezačal.
No, ale je to udělat skoč.
Jo, počítám, jako dneska asi nejdu do hospody. Víš, možná to stihnu předtím ještě, ale...
Já nevím vůbec, kolik toho je, to je jsem mám půlský hodin. Já to mám vyfocený v mobilu,
Aha.
ale ještě jsem se nepodíval na ty slajdy, nebo na ty.
Jako měl jsem to v plánu o víkendu, jenže jsem byl v pátek a v sobotu, tak našel pitu, že... To moc nešla. Ale možná jsem dopisoval v Medeiros 2006, na leadership.
Jo, já tam to.
To bylo strašně těžké.
No ty vole, všichni lidi teďka co jsem začínal, tak dneska už mají to státnicí. Jak já to Lukáš Bláha, že už mám to, vole, Peťa Folků, že má takový státnice.
On se dostal k státnici, jo.
A Jirka, vole, který začínal. Ty jsi jak začínal? Ty se budeš tomu ne?
Prodlužuju.
Ty začínal stejně jako já.
Jsem tady 4 roky už, no.
No, teďka končíš 4. rok.
No,
No, teď jsi jako já.
ty vole.
No? A vlastně budeš gradovat příští rok.
Možná.
No, vůbec stejně jako já. Takže to se neřeší, že už mají vole BC nebo co to teď.
Kdybych nedělal volat za sebe a...
No, jak líní.
Stává se i v lepších rodin.
Jo.
Jo, tak.
These are the things we need to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something like that. Děta. No, zkoušej děta.
All right, let's
They seem like nice people.
So,
I thought that was apropos since you had a chance to meet your new, your probably relatives or whoever these entrepreneurs were that you interviewed, but they're actually human beings that speak.
Like the spirit of the entrepreneur, grandfather.
Grandfather is coming back. All right, so we'll do this activity. You want to, so he's going to describe what you're going to do, and then you were suggesting maybe to pick on somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll give them bonus points. Oh, you guys, by the way, I just remembered something. Prize. Don't let me forget. There's a prize for the best project. We got to figure out what the prize is. So you're like motivated. Not today, at the end of the semester. What's that?
Shares of Keystone.
Shots of what?
Shares of Keystone.
Shares of Keystone?
Yeah.
double digit.
51%. We call that friends and family, right? Friends and family shares. I could do something, huh? That would be major bonus points. Okay, I'm gonna jump aside for a second. Did you know that when Facebook was first set up, before they had a bunch of cash in the pocket? This is a total sidebar story. Zuckerberg wanted a mural on the side of their campus where their offices were in Palo Alto, and he paid an artist to do this mural on the wall in shares of Facebook. Guy's a millionaire today. Unfriggin' believable, huh? So go find your Mark Zuckerberg, paint on the wall. So actually, that's not a bad
We
question.
found him.
We'll see, huh?
We found him.
So, anyways, so we're gonna do. One of you guys can do a deal, but don't forget this thing. And there's another one. Thank you. We have some thank yous, and we'll talk later about that. Sending out thank yous to the people who are coming up. Okay, so you're gonna do this as an exercise, and what I want to do is I want to make the love connection between this, and I wrote them both up here. Of course, you can't read them, but they're just reference points to the critical elements of your lean canvas, and we're going to keep doing this lean canvas over and over again because it is. Remember, he said a bunch of things earlier today, and I couldn't keep interrupting, otherwise he would have never gotten through everything he wanted to talk about. But everything he said, did you get that? Was in your lean canvas? Almost everything that he said. He said, well, what's special about your product? What's your zag? Where'd the book go? What's your zag? Who wants the zag book, by the way? Who wants to have this?
Me.
Okay, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
So you know that's what that is. Actually, it's a great book to read. The rest of you need to go buy one. But everything here fits, and it always starts with the customer. Always. And then you feed your way back. And there's one woman who I forgot the name of the business. She was CEO of I think it was actually a ad agency consulting firm in the United States, and she talked about this thing called True North. This was like 10 years ago. I saw her present at a conference. And the sense of True North, having a sense for where you want to go, and it's very emotional.
Yeah.
This is, everything needs to be informed by that. This is why people, I think, are so successful if they do what they love. There's something, it's hard to, you can't like write it down. It's not chemistry that you take a little bit of, sugar and flour and you can't mix this thing up. It just is, and then you just got to go with your gut down that path, but do it in a practical way, and then your probability of being successful are greater. But this starting point is that I can't tell you what you're going to go do. You say what you're going to go do, but if you do it in this model, you'll get there.
Yeah.
So you go.
I think that's a good point. Also, it's good to know where you are and where you want to get, right? Like if you're here and you want to get here, so you have this clear idea there, right? But it's in reality you would never get there this way. Like you'll be probably super lucky if you get just that way. You're going to be going like, and maybe you'll get there. So the big idea is try to be as lean as possible in this process. Like try to be as close to the ideal trajectory.
So you kick off our activity, and then we'll go through and think about, for each of you, because some of you use this model where it starts with problem, and some of you use this with key partners. I'm just what is up in the left-hand corner, but it both started with the customer. So what do you want us to do?
I think we need a volunteer company.
You need a sucker.
Yeah.
Who wants to volunteer their idea?
Pit stop.
Pit stop?
Yeah.
Okay. Hui.
What's the company about?
Pit stop.
Let's say calendar management for businesses. Let's say booking management. If you want to book in a restaurant or something, you go through this.
Pit stop?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to force you to, who's your customer?
Well, businesses is the one who pays, but users.
So we learned in this first activity that, and I don't think I gave any of you feedback yet on the lean canvases that you submitted. This strategy is a bottoms-up strategy. Who, give me a customer.
A customer?
Yeah. John.
You, Jeff.
No.
You could be a customer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, you are the user. Jeff is the user, but the customer is going to be Gentleman Brothers hairdresser. Barbershop Gentleman Brothers.
Okay, so customer, remember customer is a payer and a user is actually a user. Yeah. Somebody's going to use the service. Maybe they're different, maybe they're the same. So, pit stop booking management. I'm the customer. How are you profiling me as a customer? Why me?
Because you are the paying. You are the one who pays us to manage his.
Okay, so you're going to call me the customer because I got the checkbook. But what is it? What are attributes about me that define me as the customer?
You have
Interest in
Are you on this team?
customer or user?
Well, if you have to contact about
You
us,
ask-
we are bringing value to you. We are just simplifying your time.
Let's try to make this easy. Because if you're saying that booking management, I assume you're hitting me because I'm a business professional. Yeah. So so the business is it's a busyness person. Yeah.
But the users are like people.
People are normal people.
So the customers are any kind of services that need a schedule, right? So you have to book a table.
Imagine a
or you need to
hairdresser.
book-
Is the user a business person?
No.
No,
No.
customer is the hairdresser. User is regular folk.
ordinary,
Yeah.
people who
Like Jeff.
So business. So this is a professional service
Yes.
provider, not any business. A professional service provider. That particular business in a particular region, I suppose.
Czech Republic.
Let's say Prague. Just
Professional service business provider in the Czech Republic. Czech Republic, probably in Prague,
Yeah.
right?
Just-
Probably not, well, maybe Brno, but probably Prague, right? Probably not Kladno.
In first, at the beginning, only Prague.
Let's be right, exactly. This is the most important. Your vision is that everyone on the planet needs your services. Yeah? But this beginning, we need to give Dima some very specific guidance. This is in Prague.
At the beginning of Prague.
You maybe make a list of notes, that's not in the model itself, that says vision is global. And by the way, nothing is really global. Nothing in the whole world is even global. Google's not global, right? When Google competes with Seznam in the Czech Republic, Google is regional. Yeah? Because when Google doesn't compete regionally in the Czech Republic, Google loses to Seznam. Right? We know this.
Sorry about
Language, context. Seznam kicks Google's ass when Google is global in its delivery strategy. Right? Only did Google pass Seznam just simply in search when it started to regionalize the Czech language in Google's delivery of solutions. If you didn't know that, now you do. Nothing is really global, it's all multi-regional. And you try to, in your branding strategy, be as kind of consistent as you can. But like he said with the example of a product, General Motors had a product, you might hear the story in your marketing class, Nova. Remember their car, Nova, in the 70s?
Yeah.
Nova. Anyone speak Spanish? What does Nova mean? No go. Doesn't go. This name- this name-
Is the
Nova. And a Nova. No va. No go. That's my car. It's a car that does not go. That's a great name. So they have a different naming strategy.
Oh,
They have a better cars names in Spain.
They're
The cars which have seat, right?
Seat?
Yes, yeah.
Scott's name.
This is Spanish.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But in English it's a seat.
I don't know. Oh, it's a seat. You know, so that doesn't go the other way.
Yeah.
There was a funny, I think, one with Toyota MR2, because in French it's read as MR2, which is like shit.
Like merit? That's great. That's great. So, anyways, the point is that when you're coming here at the beginning, you got to be really narrow and specific, and then it'll help us do the rest of the thing. So is that enough for this?
I would also want to know, okay, so I assume that the service providers are actually people, not all service providers, it's not like all barber shops, it's probably more like a higher end, those who use technology or can pay for their...
Yeah, let's say that.
Yeah. We would be happy if there was like restaurants, hairdressers, just like massages, like all the services that the
That
usual
require booking.
person in Prague uses.
And it requires booking.
These booking what?
Booking a
Meeting.
a time,
A meeting time,
a table.
table, whatever. I'll talk about it at 6 p.m. Don't worry about it.
I think if it requires booking, then it's very successful. There's probably a lot of people going there, it's really hard to get the place there.
Yes.
Yes.
No, don't talk about it at 6 o'clock. We're talking about now, because we'll talk about it again 6 o'clock. But this is the point. This is a communal exercise. This is all of you should do this exact same activity because it's a homework activity. Go back and look at your canvas and say, what